minutes from last?
Yeah, I emailed them to you.
Oh, you emailed them?
Yep, I emailed them a few days ago, and then there's a copy there.
They're here too. They're on
here.
yeah. The second page states each, an agenda and so it's on the second page of that.
Either I'm oblivious or blind.
I just look at them too.
Right underneath your agenda. See the agenda? Yeah, and it's right underneath. Yep, and they're there.
I'm oblivious and blind, let the record show.
I'm blind too.
What was that?
I'm blind too.
No wonder I couldn't find it. I had mine upside down.
Yeah, exactly.
That solves everything.
Oh, yeah, just, I mean, they're aware of the situation.
Wow. I always have a pen in person, I don't.
I have extras.
Oh, don't you? I can't believe I don't have one.
I recently cleaned out my pocketbook and I emptied it of several pens, but I still have backups.
Anyone hear from
Thank you.
Paul or Todd at all?
Have an extra one there?
Yes, I do.
I always,
Did you
I
did you
always
have-
have
did
two
you-
or
I haven't
three.
heard anything from anybody, no. Did you reach out at all to Todd?
I have not.
I called him
Preference?
today and left a message.
Felt
I
tip.
haven't heard back, but if I don't,
This is a
Then-
nice one.
That works, okay.
he's just got it.
I was gonna say, he's kind of gone above and beyond the 3 meetings, I think.
Well,
Yeah, he's gonna be done. What other, there's nothing else, right? I mean, you know,
We'll have to take it up at some point.
I don't think he's been here in the last 8 meetings. He was here for one, like, he's barely been here.
Right.
We recording yet or not, or?
We are. We're recording. John, you wanna have a seat up here? You wanna do the introduction? If not you, John. You wanna
Still
do
up.
them, or you want me to? So I don't know if Paul's gonna be here, but before we get started, this is Jeremy DeCarli. He's our interim town planner that I was telling you about from Tyke Planning and Policy Group.
Jeremy?
Yes,
And the last name is DeCarli?
DeCarli, that's correct.
Okay, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you. Just a little bit about us, we're a 7-person planning firm. We do consulting work all over the state, filling in towns, plans of conservation and development, other long-range planning. I myself have been in municipal planning for the better part of 15 years, worked in a regional agency, then a couple of municipalities, and now I've been with Tyke for a few months. So got going here, I'm in the office on Thursdays. These guys have access to me pretty much 24/7. I think tomorrow, Thursday will be my 4th day in the office, so
Okay.
we're getting our feet wet and looking forward to working with everybody here.
All right.
Good.
Look forward to working with you too, sir. Glad to have you with us. Just give it a couple more minutes here. I don't know if we're expecting anyone here. Oh, 1 minute. All right. Okay, it is 7:00 PM on Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. I will call this meeting with the Town of Winchester Zoning Board of Appeals to order. We are located here in the P. Francis Hicks Room of the Town of Winchester Town Hall, 338 Main Street, 2nd floor, Winsted, Connecticut. Present this evening is myself, Aubrey English, members Ron Dew, John Pollock, and Ellie Gunn, and alternate member Marianne Marino. Absent excused is alternate member Ryan Horvey. Also noted absent is regular member Paul Mitchell. Also absent is alternate member Todd Skutnik. For the purposes of tonight's meeting, I'm going to go ahead and seat Ms. Marino as a full voting member for tonight. So the way that these meetings work, if you've never been before us before, is you have an opportunity to present your application, which you've already submitted to the building office, or the building and planning office. You get to present your presentation. Have persons that you may want to have speak on your behalf of your project. I will then I'll allow the opportunity for the members of this board to ask questions of you about your project. And I will then open the meeting to members of the public who may be present. And they will have the opportunity to make questions or comments about your project as well, too. Once I close the public meeting, you will have the opportunity to make your final case, your final plea before this board. And then we will have our motion made, have a discussion, and vote on your project. And whether it be voted up and down, you will have your answer this evening. Okay? So, do you have any questions on what I just?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not been here. I've not been here before.
Oh, welcome. Glad to have you come before us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Am I missing anything? I sometimes.
The legal notices are posted on
No
the,
legal notices or
on the
anything,
14th and the 21st, no
but,
letters from anybody.
Yeah, but all notifications been sent out and all everything?
Yes.
Okay. So what we will do at this time here is I'm skipping around here, is we will open up start with ZBA application 25-4. Located at it's a variance for located at 308 East Wakefield. And the proposed, and I'm assuming you're the applicant, you're the owner, sir?
Yes, sir.
Just have you identify yourself, state your name, location, and present your project.
Yeah, my name is John Slaney. I am from 308 East Wakefield, also from Southington. The project was to upgrade the grounds. We had a large tree had to be removed by hemlock was white, and had the tree removed. This is just around COVID. Totally destroyed what was left of the yard. My wife and I discussed it. She looked, she said, well, can I get a stone guy in here to do this? And she did. And therein lies the tale. What was at that point considered an impervious stonework, as impervious stonework. I had Jeff recommended, or not recommended, but gave me the names of a soil scientist and engineer, combination of the two, or two people. And they came in and did absolutely, after test borings and whatever, level changes, level checks, they said there is no problem with the way things are set up right now as being pervious. The lot will take more than can be provided. Even on the crazy, we had that wild day this past summer. Even at that, it should have no issue. Went before the board, and they recommended the town engineer, or Tom Grimaldi, also come out, take a look at the site. Absolutely, it looks great, looks this, that, and the other. He said, I would like to see 2 dry wells at end of the walkway.
When you said it went before the board, are you referring to wetlands?
Yes.
Or- okay.
Yes. The commission, sorry.
I that's why I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it slips every now and again. And so basically, it was not a done deal, but it was okayed as it sits with the two dry wells to be in place before June, or on June 1st of 2025.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Sini?
Just with this project, the coverage, I guess, what is the coverage, is it over like 70% of your land?
Yeah, yes.
Because I guess required up here, we don't really allow more than 20%. So to me, it's really excessive. And the thing that bothers me is if we allow it for you, we're gonna have probably a lot more people doing the same thing. They're gonna be going behind our backs. My understanding is you never got a variance
I did not.
for this.
I did not. As I said, at that point in time, do what you want.
Okay, because what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
if you came before us, or the board, the zoning board, I know I would not probably approved all of this. Maybe some of it I could see, but to me, just from what the picture is, and then from driving along the road, looking at it, the whole thing is just covered with, it looks great, but we have to be mindful of protecting the lake here, and this is a very small piece of property, and I feel bad that you don't have a bigger piece of property, but that's just the way it goes in this case. And then if we have some other people who have like an acre or more, and they say that this was allowed down here, they're gonna probably be doing the same thing, and we know that the lake has problems with the water. Last year, there was some problems with the pollution. Not pollution, there was some kind of a slime on it or something like that.
One of the basic premises of my thoughts as going into it was, I do not want grass. I do not. In that cove, well, you know, in the cove, in the
Yes.
little cove that we live in, inundated with all the runoff around. I look, it's the same thing. I look around at beautiful lawns, all sloping down, and it all seems to go to the cove, because we definitely have a plethora of weeds. And again, algae growth, and like, whatever. But that was my take on it. I far prefer neither mud nor grass. But
I was on wetlands when you came before us with this problem, when it was discovered that it had been done without a permit. So it's been a while you've been dealing with this. So I just want to start by saying that I appreciate how much time and energy and focus you've put into remedying the situation. I know you've gone to a lot of trouble here getting soil scientists and engineers, and, so thank you for, taking responsibility and sticking with the commissions in trying to fix the issue. I do share John's concern in that, if this gets approved, then we don't have, it sort of makes it difficult for us then for another project to come before us that says, well, we want 70% impervious coverage. You let it happen over there. Why can't you let it happen over here? And so I think we should kind of drill down on the specifics of this project, right? Like I read through the documentation. It looks as though there's a suggestion based on the two engineers' assessments and Jeff's notes that the gravel that is there not be considered impervious because nothing heavy will be driving on it, and therefore it won't be compacted and become actually something that's like technically impervious. I think we should discuss that among ourselves, because if we do go with that definition, sort of change, then that's something we're gonna have to live with too. I do wanna know, you said that the second engineer proposed the 2 dry wells, which you're prepared to, you're prepared to install. It looks like there's some other suggestions here. There's a suggestion of removing some pavers to break up the runoff surface between this sort of northern part of your property, to inhibit the flow of water into the lake. And then there are some plantings that were suggested. So, but you didn't mention those, so I just wanna know, are you also agreeable to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The, what do you call it, the water garden?
yeah, rain
The
garden.
rain garden style,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, and I would definitely.
right.
My wife thinks it's a great idea, they look pretty, they're natural, they're local, so.
Great, so you're amenable to that. Okay, so I think those are all of my questions.
Anybody else?
The concrete paver area that goes all the way down to the lake, I know you don't want grass, but that concrete paver area goes right up to the edge of the lake. You have a patio type thing off the back of the house. Is it really necessary to have both areas?
Well, I can't put up by the house is shade. At the back of the house, it's shade in the afternoons, so, yeah, it was like, you have respite. It was a two-tiered, originally it was two-tiered. We had the high by the house, and then it dipped down into one step down. At the lake, at the edge of the lake, the wall, the seawall, it's a concrete wall. It's a block wall, but it's a concrete wall. It is filled, it is rebarred and filled, so, and this is where part of the permeability came from the soil scientist. And he said, well, everything here, he said, what you have here, and the penetration of rainwater is not going along with the lake.
Well, nobody has a crystal ball.
Exactly.
And we have seen, increased rainfall in the recent years,
Yeah.
and we know that
Yeah.
weather patterns are changing, so I think it's,
Well, that was.
never say never.
No, you're, no, no, but that was a part of his, statement to me, at least, was, he said, that rain we had, where I don't think we got, we might have gotten 8 inches up here, where they had 13, 14 down in Oxford. And he said, that rain we had, he said, you won't see anything from it. How long it takes to dry out, I don't know. I won't venture a guess on that.
Any other further questions or comments? Okay, at this time, I will open the hearing to any members of the public who wish to speak to this application. Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Any members of the public? Hearing no members of the public, I will close the public portion of this application, and I will, Mr. Sonny, I'll give you the last word.
Thank you for convening for me. It's kind of nice to get more involved with what's going on in town. But, as you say, it's been a long
Well, thank you.
And I will.
Go ahead.
One, if I may.
You may, go ahead.
I would really like to congratulate you on both Shane and Jeff. Good picks. Good picks. Very, very helpful, both information-wise and, well, in Shane's case, helping an old guy with computer stuff. So,
Thank you, Mr. Zani. So, do we have a motion or anything to say before?
Don't we
I don't
discuss
have to
amongst ourselves first?
Well, I know, but I mean, I have to read the motion, then we discuss.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I don't have it, I apologize. If you want, I'll go type it up right now.
We kind of need that,
Yeah,
if we want, we can go ahead and maybe, as she's preparing the motion, we can discuss this amongst us here too, so.
Is it okay if we include Jeff in the discussion? I have a question for him.
I noticed he was here, and he was part of and he made some notes here too, so,
Yeah, I thought it was important to make myself
I
available.
will continue as far as, bringing that to, if we have him come up here, being our town guy too, and have him ask some questions too, so,
Okay,
go
cool.
ahead.
I have a specific question, Jeff. So in the suggestion here from I guess it's from the second engineer, to remove the existing pavers in those two areas up front near the seawall, to disconnect the impervious surfaces, it's saying to prevent surface water runoff from entering the lake, and that they'd be replaced with native stone to promote flow into the lower stone areas for retention. So does that mean that behind their wall, there's riprap, and they're suggesting that if this surface stone is removed, that it can percolate down into the riprap?
So I think what he's suggesting is, excuse me, basically a saw cut at those two areas so the water can't flow into the lake. And the idea is if you could break that continuity and continue the same crushed stone application that he has in most of the landscaping there, right into that little void that has now been created, the water could flow right back into that entire area, which has been fully vetted to be, properly handling the amount of storm water that they're seeing there.
Okay, and he's not concerned about the water building up behind the wall such that it affects the integrity of the wall from creating pressure from the other side?
He mentioned no concerns to that effect, so I would assume that he does not have them. Tom Grimaldi and I did visit the site, and, he did a full inspection, well, not a full inspection, but he did inspect the wall, actually got down in the lake bed to look for different weep holes and so on and so forth. So I think he was confident that the Jackson report was adequate, or, truthful, whatever word you want to use there, that the water is being handled properly. So he just had those additional recommendations to even further enhance the ability for the water to get handled.
Are there weep holes through the wall on the water side?
No, there are not. On the extreme sides, I believe
There is
there are, right?
Right, right.
You know better than I.
Right, there's pipe, there is pipe drain behind.
So the water that's actually entering that crushed stone isn't leaping into the lake, it's settling and, going through the ground. It's all headed to the same place eventually, but
But it has some percolation
yes.
time. So I guess the question before us is whether or not,
Well, there was a spot in the comments where they said that taking it apart will likely cause more damage than leaving it there the way it is.
well, I'm not sure I agree with that.
I know, but it's in the report.
Right, right.
so-
Well, it's actually Jeff's
Self-survey,
note.
So that's a concern right from the Wetlands Commission. So I wanted to share it so you guys got as much information as possible.
Well, how would it create more? I mean, I don't see how it would, because it wouldn't, equipment wouldn't be in the lake bed, right? And you could remove the stone by hand,
Yeah, possibly.
right?
I don't think equipment would be necessary to lake bed. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so,
I guess, Live, like I say, without reading the motion and everything, I don't know if we're gonna have to like make any type of amends or, like, you know, say, you know, exceptions for anything, you know, or anything conditional, so we just have to be what it would say, so.
Who's gonna be responsible to monitor the work that's gonna be done?
The wells that are gonna be put in, I believe we kept Grimaldi on for further inspection after the work is done as well. If that is not the case, and sorry, I don't remember exactly. Did we keep him on?
As far as I know.
So he and I will inspect the work after it's done.
And did wetlands ask for a bond?
Yes. Yes,
Yes, they did.
how much was that?
I think it's $1,200, page 2 of this, of the first,
So it's gonna be signed off by an engineer
Yes,
before it's accepted.
yes, absolutely.
And then you would submit as-bills to the town.
Yes, that is also required.
To Ellie's question earlier about the pavers in the back, I guess those are not, it's not an impervious paving system, or that wouldn't have counted toward the total, but there's no photograph of it. Well, there is,
well, yeah, I think,
of the back,
No, not the back.
the-
I was talking about this area.
oh, I thought you were talking about
No,
this.
I was talking about this area.
Oh,
And
oh,
if you,
okay.
I mean, this is all pavers, all wrapped around, and then, there it is.
Yeah.
So this is all pavers around the house.
Right.
Steps down. This patio area for this table is much closer. That's this.
Right,
And then that walkway down.
right. I thought you were pointing
No.
out this area.
I'm concerned about this area and the runoff from all of that. I mean, that's a fairly substantial area.
It is.
I know you don't want grass, and grass would be ideal, but even if that area was stone instead of these big pavers, just my thought.
And all I can go on is what my soil scientist and my other engineer went by originally, stating that as built right now has no trouble whatsoever accepting the rain without running off the roof.
But it's still 70% of the area of the property. So that's my
I
concern.
will not argue the fact, but it is noted as impervious.
I'm not trying to make your life
No,
difficult.
no.
It's a concern, though.
And
Yeah.
I would like just to mention, and not to confuse this, because this has been a long road to get here, but the stone that he had, not the pavers, but the stone that he has down there,
The crushed stone.
yeah, that will soon be considered pervious. So it's not gonna change this ask, because these are the current rules, they were the rules when this all happened. But we've been looking into the regulation, we will be presenting information to all the land use boards relatively soon to that effect. So just for your consideration, even though it's coated, impervious, the fact that we have the soil scientists and the engineers talking about how it does allow for the water, and what should have been the interpretation of the regulations, it will be pervious in the future.
Right, but that accounts for, looks like 330, 73, and 42, so what is that? A little over 400 square feet of the coverage. It still wouldn't bring him
Oh,
any.
so not even gonna touch the 15 or 20%. I
Right.
just wanted to put it on the
Yeah.
record, just for your
It just,
consideration.
because there's just a ton of stuff that is actually impervious here.
Mary Ann, hold that thought for just a second here, too, just
Right.
briefly. because I just want to read the motion into the record, and also, one piece of housekeeping I did fail to mention at the beginning too, Mr. Sines, is that, unlike a lot of other boards where it's just majority vote, you will get your project on this board here to have your project approved requires 4 affirmative votes. Okay, so 4 out of the 5 of us have to approve your project as well too. Just want to make sure you're aware of that as well too. Okay. So with that being said too, I will read into the record the following motion. Motion to grant variances per section 3D5C of the zoning regulations for application ZBA 25-4, located 308 East Wakefield Boulevard. Proposal applicant is 53.1% increase of impervious coverage. Coverage is 73.1% with 20% allowable with LID. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and we can resume discussion.
I have another question to us. This is a done deal, pretty much, except putting in the drainage areas, if I'm understanding this correctly. Okay, so,
Well, what do you mean by a done deal?
this is already all built.
Oh, right, we would be, if we don't approve it, he'd have to take it apart.
So primarily, we're saying that we want to ensure that these wells are put into this. That's pretty much the fix for this?
Well, that's what the engineers are suggesting, that's what Jeff is suggesting, but we can make our own decision. I mean, if we.
Asking questions,
Yeah.
just getting,
Please
you
do,
know.
please do. You have all the clarifications, yeah.
The hardship on this, I don't see how that's spelled out.
Good
And aren't
point.
we supposed to be
Mhm.
responsible for that aspect of this?
Yeah, it's a good
We are,
point.
we are, and just, like I said, I'm not gonna make assumptions what the hardship is. I will open up and ask, Mr. Sini, what, approving a variance, for this board here has, pretty much a hardship would have to be, shown as to why an exception to the, zoning regulations would have to be made in this matter. So,
So do we call, well, what would you call it, monetary? It's definitely not throwing out retirement money, huh?
okay. It's, yeah,
And with the original intent, on my wife's behalf, was she wanted it to look beautiful, which it does. Her and my faux pas by not coming in at that point. Of course, you guys were closed once in a while during COVID, so not that.
Well, we closed in here, but we did meet virtually though, too, so.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that it got this far along. There's been a lot of circumstances along the way. I think it should have been monitored a little better along the way, but it wasn't for obvious reasons with COVID and so forth. And we're stuck with it, taking it apart. It's still gonna be very hard to come up with the required square footage that we need without taking everything apart there. I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on it, I know.
Yeah, unfortunately, see, we're kind of, no pun intended, stuck between a rock and a hard place, too.
We are.
Yeah.
Again, I understand, like I said, the intentions of why it was put in, very understandable. Also, the time period too, with the COVID and all as well too. But our building office in town was still running, And, you know, still, I mean, I guess we, whereas any type of projects like this would have to get the would have to come before us and get the proper permits as well too, to have this completed. But I also understand too how difficult, not only how difficult it would be to take it apart if we turn it down, but also, I also appreciate, understand too, you mentioned, you know, your monetary situation with your time of how much money you put into it as well too. I will just go ahead and say the motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any further discussion on this matter?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because approving this would set a quasi precedent, somebody could come before us to say, well, you let that go. Is there some way to perhaps assess a penalty that gets written into this? That shame on you, and it's gonna cost you something, and no, we didn't just rubber stamp this. I don't know if that's.
Well, no, it's a legitimate question too, I think. I don't know if there's any precedent that I can remember. I've been on this board since, I think 2017. John, you've been on before that too.
I've never heard of one before.
Never had this, ever happen before. And that,
Do you have an answer?
Just to add, there have been some punitive actions already. So there's a $2,500 zoning violation on the land records that will need to be cleared. Mr. Sliney was made to apply for a post facto inland wetlands application, which carries a higher amount. He had to pay out of pocket for the independent engineer, which is the regular practice when wetlands requires an engineer. And that's on top of the soil scientist that he contracted with on his own, but really as a result of wetlands saying you need to prove this. So there's been some stick already.
And that kind of covers all of those people.
Right.
That's irregardless of this board.
Sure. I just wanted it to be on the record.
No, and that's fair.
There's not been a free pass by any means.
That's fair, it is. And I don't want to.
But
Along those lines, though, is there a world in which we could make a condition of approval a requirement for Mr. Sliney to hire someone to monitor his system at some sort of regular cadence and deliver reports to the town to ensure that it is still handling the water and the runoff in a manner that these engineers seem to be positing that it is, so that there's an ongoing responsibility to maintaining the integrity of the system?
So we have discussed at Wetlands requiring a maintenance schedule with all engineered pervious systems. You know, I think it's easier when you say, okay, here's a pervious block system and it requires X, Y, and Z for maintenance. That's not the case with this because the pavers themselves are not pervious. The crushed stone has been proven to be adequately pervious, but I'm not sure what the testing, other than regular soil borings and, you know, sort of redoing this whole process on some kind of set schedule.
Well, that's what I'm suggesting, because,
I'll make the following thoughts and comments as far as, you know, Ellie's suggestion about any type of monetary type of, you know, fine as far as going, surpassing these required hearings and permits here. Unfortunately, I don't believe us as a board are legally able to set fines and costs. That would have to go, I would think that would have to be a legal opinion through our town attorney. That would have to be set through the Board of Selectmen. That's like it's kind of an unprecedented avenue that we'd be going down. And this body, I think would be above and beyond what our scope of purpose is here as well too. So I'll just throw that in there. That being said as well too, I think we are able to establish probably some sort of conditions, kind of like what you were suggesting, Mary Ann, as well, too. And I mean, I think I would be open to having any suggestions, be as part, as conditions of approval of the motion. So I'll just go by that there, too. And I guess, you guys have any thoughts on any of that?
Well, so the town is going to monitor the wells being put in and that, all of that stuff. And according to all of the engineering reports, that's going to take care of things.
But again, like, if we have increased rainfall, then,
And we may have a drought, you
The-
never know.
right, but what I'm saying is the system may not hold, and so if we require, a regular, let's say yearly inspection by the soils engineer, who comes in and does the borings and does a report, and that report has to be delivered by Mr. Sliney to,
Indefinitely, or for the next 3 years? I mean, what's gonna satisfy that in your mind?
I would say 2 years. We're gonna have an idea at that point what the outcome is gonna be.
yeah, I would probably suggest 5 years, and then we reevaluate whether or not we wanna continue it.
One second, we should sign out. Would this, like I say, again, if this condition was put into there, how often would these reports would they be brought before this board? Would they be brought to the building and planning office for satisfaction, or, what?
Oh, I think they would just need to, the reports would be delivered to building and planning,
And,
but
and would it be monthly? Would it be every 6 months, every 3 months,
that
quarterly?
I don't know, like that,
Um,
Jeff, I would rely on probably an engineer to advise on what cadence they think would be useful, whether it's once a year, twice a year, I can't imagine it's more than that.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, I'm just not sure we would have the opportunity to get that answer tonight before you need to act on what that would be. And also, when was this project completed? It's gotta be, 5 years now? And the testing was just done this past season, so it's held up for these 5 years. So if you wanted to tack on, some additional time, you just maybe keep that in mind.
Right.
Let me just raise a question. If we do what Mary Ann suggests, which I'm not partial to, who's gonna pay this? Is the taxpayers of the town of Winston, or,
No, it would be
This-
the homeowner's responsibility
the
to get
homeowner
the
will
testing.
be responsible to pay that? We definitely would have to have that in writing, because I don't wanna have my taxes pay for somebody else's,
I think,
property,
yeah, it's akin to,
especially when
like Jeff said,
we're going
it's,
against the variance and everything else here.
it would be akin to wetlands requiring a maintenance schedule and maintenance reports on an impervious system, which is the homeowner's responsibility.
But if this has been in place for the last 5 years, and they've just done all of these testings to submit to this, and everything's copacetic, I understand what you're saying, and it's a safeguard and a protection, but to carry that out for another 5 years, I think is a bit much, in my opinion.
Well,
Since this has already been in place for 5 years, and there's already been testing done.
okay, I mean,
What would you?
I'm not partial to approving this, right? This is setting a precedent that I think is really bad for us and bad for Highland Lake. We had a very serious cyanobacteria bloom
I know.
in October.
We've
and-
discussed that in
And
the
it
past.
does fall to us and all the land use commissions to take stormwater runoff mitigation very seriously.
I'm
So
not-
I'm just trying to figure out a way to put my hand up, in a way that makes me feel like I'm being responsible to the lake, the community, the other homeowners, in setting some sort of condition of responsibility to continue to prove out that this system is working.
Or if I may, not
Go
that,
ahead, sir.
not that I'm
mean, I'll say this, it's, usually when it's discussion here, discussion is closed, but, I mean, under these circumstances, as chair, I'm gonna go ahead and allow you to answer these questions here too, because these are questions that need to be answered. So go ahead, make your comment.
All I want to reiterate, if it, as it were, that a soil scientist went through, an engineer went through, and then another engineer went through. All happily on board that it is genuinely pervious to any known rainfall that was going on. Yes, there may be a drought and there may be torrential rains for, but, and again, with testing, you're doing, if you're doing test bores, what happens if, yeah, it happens to be, we do it every August 15th or something, and it hasn't rained since late May, that still look good. If it rained up until then, it's, according to all that saw it, it's still gonna look good. That's, and I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I will sit in the corner.
One of the problems I have is whatever we put on this variance application for this particular lot is gonna be there forever. Whatever conditions as far as testing and so forth. Sending reports to the town from the engineers. That's one particular piece of property. We're not looking at anybody else coming in and saying, well, you allow this for this piece of property. Every case is different. And we have to assess it that way.
Yep.
Whether that's pea stone or grass, we've got the same issue. It's an issue, I think, of do we have the pavers removed, plant more grass or put more stone in, or what? The regs are obviously gonna be changing, between pervious and impervious. We're just stuck in a tough spot. I don't know where to go with this.
Well, I mean, you raise a point, the regulations, will be changing them some point, they're not changed yet. We have to go by what's
What is written
what's
now.
written here,
Right.
what's in here, what in the here and now here too.
Yep.
So, I mean, we just basically have, are we going to allow this project to continue, go forth, you know, or basically make it officially legal or officially, you know, but under these conditions and, you know, adding things for Mr. Slaney to make, you know, at his expense, these reports to be done at his expense, these tests done? Or do we just basically say, nope, we're not gonna approve the project, and you're gonna have to, I mean, unfortunately, as beautiful of a job it's done and as much money was made, this should have been done, and as a result, you know, you have to remove these pavers and go this other route here too. So, I mean, that's a question for this board here. And I agree. We are in a tough spot. We are in a very tough spot. So we do have to make a decision on this as well too. I mean, whether, you know, so.
Good work, Kevin, about this.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, I mean,
We can do that.
what do you guys think?
I think we should make a decision tonight, and we should make a decision based on the regs as they stand, and that's what we should do. I think we have enough, people have their minds made up, and I think we should vote on it and not beat it down the lane.
Okay. Any other comments here too? No? any other suggestion. I mean, we have one saying that, you know, we have one member think we should talk to the town attorney as far as what our legal routes would go. We have another member saying we have our regulations in place, we should go with that. I'm just asking opinions from the other board members.
I'm not quite sure what Kevin's gonna advise, what
I don't know.
the question is per se.
I would be comfortable approving this if there was some condition for regular testing and reports going forward that get delivered to the land use team to prove out that the system is continuing to work. But without that, we're just leaving it up to nature and time to, determine whether it, pun intended, holds water or not.
I can see that.
I can
And-
too.
For how long were these reports? We're
That's,
talking,
that's the only thing that I'm questioning.
Well,
I
no,
don't think it's a
I think
bad
I
idea.
think Jeff brought up a good point, that if this work was completed in 2020, was it completed in 2020? Okay, and the current test was done in 2025, then perhaps we do it every 5 years. And that's just a condition that has to live with this property as long as it's in this configuration. If a new owner comes and tears it all apart, they can come before us and remove the condition.
Okay.
and these tests would be done at his own expense too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. All
There,
right.
why, we
So-
don't want to shift it.
So we'll just add that condition there into the motion here?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure
Um,
how to word it, but I could try to come up with something.
These tests were for, these were water well tests?
I think they were infiltration capacity tests that they carried out through boring holes into the soil, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What,
I don't know if that's the terminology.
I was
they
gonna
use,
say,
but
what's the
yes.
proper term for this type of test, Jeff?
Oh, is it just a? Yeah,
Hand-
so a perk test,
A what test?
perk test,
P-
percolation.
PERC.
PERC test. That would be done every 5 years, you said, or within 5 years?
I would say
Or 5
every,
years?
every 5 years, yeah.
At owner's expense.
Okay.
Sorry, but it's probably cheaper than redoing the whole thing. Just trying to find like a middle ground
A
a solution.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, trying to solve the problem in a way that's best for
Amenable.
everyone.
Okay. So, we added, so motion still stands with the condition of a perk test at the owner's expense every 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, could we just put in that the perk test happens in the summer? You know, like spring or summer when we actually do have rain? Because I think doing it in the fall or winter is less meaningful.
During spring and summer, you think?
Spring
mean-
or
I mean-
summer, yeah.
To be determined by engineer. Let him decide when's the best time to take it.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Someone scientist important.
Okay, so I'm rereading the motion to grant variances per section 3D5C of the zoning regulations for application ZBA number 25-4. Proposal, applicant is 53.1% increase of impervious coverage. Coverage is 73.1% with 20% allowable with LID, with a condition of a perk test at owner's expense every 5 years during either spring or summer to be determined by engineer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and second. Do we have any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, signify affirmative. All opposed? Mr. Sonny, you have your project.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate your time and your efforts and your understanding. And believe me, I've been on the lake for 38 years. And I'd be damned if I do anything to hurt it.
We appreciate that.
I use electric motors. I hate grass.
Yeah, clearly there's no fertilizer happening at your place, so we're not getting that phosphorus and nitrogen load.
No, because, when you look out and you're parallel to the water level, and I feel like a hippo in Africa where they have all the water lilies floating around them. It gets spectacular.
Yeah.
It really does.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all again.
You shutting us down?
So we have to approve the minutes, right?
we
Yeah, I
have
was
the
gonna say,
rest
what's
of it,
Shane,
yeah.
what's she run off to?
She's probably going to get another tape or something.
Oh. I don't know if we should stand by beforehand.
I think so. So are we back on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure here. Okay, next order of business, did, everybody have an opportunity, this evening have an opportunity to approve review the minutes from the January 28th meeting?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I wasn't here, but I did watch the recording. There was a discussion about 715 West Wakefield. Ryan had asked some questions about whether or not the homeowner had planned to expand the driveway area because the turnaround was tight. And the homeowner said, no, they weren't going to expand it. They're not going to increase the pervious coverage at all. And I just think that it would be good to have that in the notes, especially since, we're looking at that pretty carefully on a project like this. I think it's worth just putting in the notes that there was that discussion.
And also with these minutes, at the end where it says it's approved by Audrey English, seconded by Ron Dew, and unanimously approved, I think we should have all the people's names listed and just instead of just one, and then seconded, we should have everybody who approved it listed, and anybody who disapproved it listed also, instead of just grouping it into this. I'd never seen that before.
Well, I think if we're saying it's unanimously approved, this shows that the board approved. Now, in a case like this, if there was one person who voted against it or abstained from something, then we should probably, note in the record or in the minutes who voted in favor and who voted against it too. Other than that, if it's just a unanimous decision, it's unanimous.
I've never seen it written like that before since, always had the people listed.
Yeah, I'm secretary on another board, and usually I do it that way. I will, if it's unanimous, just save a couple drops of ink there, so, you know, but,
And John, just everybody who is in attendance is named at the top of the.
Yeah, I see, I know
Yeah.
that, yes.
okay,
But sometimes you have like alternates here and then, I just think it would be better to have it the old way, but if you wanna do it this way, it's fine.
okay. Any other questions, comments on the minutes?
Under new business,
We haven't approved the minutes. Or are we talking new business from the,
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
oh, were you talking about new business from last month?
No, new business for this month.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
That's next.
Go.
Stay tuned. Okay. Any other comments on the minutes at all? Corrections, okay? So I guess the motion would be to approve these minutes and if possible, if you have these saved, maybe just add the discussion in there, reference the 715 West Wakefield Boulevard on that driveway extension well too. I don't know if it would be necessary to necessarily print it out, but have it available to send to any one of us or by request or whatnot. Okay, with that in mind, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
As amended.
As amended, thank you.
You're welcome.
So moved.
Second.
Is that, okay, approved and seconded?
Yeah.
Ron Moy made the motion, seconded by Ellie. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstention, okay. New business.
I have something that I'd like to have you read into the minutes, upcoming. I am stepping down, for health reasons, but I like to have that written in, mentioned in the minutes, so it's a matter of record.
Okay. February 25th, 2025, Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Winchester, 338 Main Street, Winston, Connecticut, 06098. Dear Aubrey, I'm submitting my resignation from the Winston Zoning Board of Appeals effective immediately. It has been my pleasure to serve the town of Winston and the board for many years. I wish the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals success as they move forward to serve Winston. Thank you for your friendship and support during my time on the board. Sincerely, Ronald F. Dill.
Thank you. We have plenty of members.
Invisible members.
We have
Small
members,
members.
we have members, as with other boards that have lives of their own too, and other issues and things that go on in their life. It's completely understandable. I don't know if we have to take any official action on that, but I guess maybe I can speak on behalf of all of us, that we will accept your resignation with regrets.
Thank you.
But and on top of that, with sincere gratitude for your years of service, because I have no idea where else we're gonna find a career building inspector to be able to make these, to help take us down the road as to what we need to help make our decisions too. And your knowledge and your expertise has been very well appreciated, and
Thank you.
we thank you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll just pass that along to
Yep.
Shane. So if it's effective immediately, get out. That's a joke, that's a joke.
I know it's a joke. I don't listen to anybody anyway, so.
Okay. Okay, so do we have any other correspondence that come before this board? Okay, anything else for the good and welfare of this board in the town of Winchester?
Nope.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Mary Ann made a motion to adjourn, second? Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, 'cause we said we want to start or go home. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I can't do this without
Sure you can.
No, I can't.
You've been practicing for a year.
Oh, jeez, Ron.
No, I've just got some issues I gotta address, and,
Meet you all if you can.
Well, I wish.
See you later, too.
at 78 years old,
I
you
know,
know, I'm
that's
getting a little
fair.
tired of it.
You're entitled.
Understandable.
You are, you're entitled.
I'm 48 years old, I get tired of things too, so.
Wait, you also know what else I'm dealing with.
I do,
Are you-
I do.
I wasn't arguing with you.
Oh, no, I know you weren't. It was,
It's a tough
it was
situation.
a